What happened to Tiger Boy? In late 1964, Shaw Brothers Film Studios started production on a new film with a new star and a newish director, which created a new style of action that would revolutionize martial arts cinema. After its initial release, it was locked away in the Shaw Brothers vaults and never seen again. When Celestial Pictures acquired the Shaw library, everyone assumed that Tiger Boy would be included, but it was never released. Today we will look at what we know about this lost film in the hope that someone who has the film will see this someday. We dearly hope the film has survived somewhere and can be made available again for fans to appreciate. Action. So the question is, what happened to Tiger Boy? Where is it? I wish I could tell you the answer. Unfortunately, it seems that nobody knows. The one person who probably would know is Sir Run Shaw, who unfortunately died a few years ago, so we can't ask him. We could ask some of the people who worked on the film, but director Chang Cheh is dead. Lead actress Margaret Tu Chun committed suicide a few years after the film was made. Lo Lai died about 2003 of a heart attack, and Jinping is also dead. The only person who is really left who might know is Wang Yu, the star of the film. So I'm sending out an urgent worldwide appeal to Mr. Wang Yu. I would like to interview you, especially about the film Tiger Boy. I've never seen anything where you've spoken about it, and there should be something about it. So if any friends or family of Wang Yu ever see this, please help me set up an interview with him. I'll fly anywhere in the world. Please just let me know when and where. I will be there. So, before we talk about the film itself, I should talk about some misinformation surrounding the film. One of the best known film websites in the world states that it was shot in mid-1964, which is wrong, and that it was shelved by Run, which is kind of wrong. I'll explain why soon. And released in 1966 after the critical box office success of King Hugh's Come Drink With Me. Which is a nice theory, and I had the same thought myself. Except, Tiger Boy was released on the 16th of February 1966, and Come Drink With Me was released almost 2 months later, on the 7th of April. So that can't be right. I've also seen people say the same thing, except they changed Come Drink With Me to Magnificent Trio. It came out after Magnificent Trio's success. That film was released on the 8th of November 66, almost 9 months after Tiger Boy was released. So again, that cannot be true. So, when was it actually produced? Why did it take so long to get released? We'll come to that soon. Before we talk about the film Tiger Boy, we should probably talk a bit about its director Chang Cheh. I happen to be a bit of an expert on his career because when he died in 2002, I was publishing an occasional magazine about films called Oriental Film Review, and as you can see here, this is Chang Cheh, and I wrote an 8.5-page article about him when he died. And at that time, very little was actually known about Tiger Boy. Pretty much had one long sentence about the film, which states that having had some disappointments in the past, Run was talked into letting him try his hand at directing again. In 1964 he wrote and directed Tiger Boy, which starred the then new actors Wang Yu and Lo Lai, who both went on to make many films for Shaw Brothers. Since then, more information has come to light thanks to globalization and my moving to Thailand, where I've collected a pretty good collection of Southern Screen magazines. More on those later. Chang Cheh had directed 2 films previously. His first film was called Happenings in Alishan in 1949, and that was a very difficult film to make due to the problems between mainland China and Taiwan, all that stuff with Chiang Kai-shek. And it took many months to finish that film, and it didn't do particularly good business. And it would be 8 years until Chang Cheh directed again. He kept writing scripts, and a woman was going to be the lead actress in a film she was also producing. and she said, "Chang, you write good stuff. I want you to direct. I think you can do really well." Chang Cheh didn't want to direct, but she managed to persuade him, so he directed Wildfire in 1957, and that was a bit of a flop. It didn't do very well. So Chang Cheh was downhearted. He'd had 2 films as director and neither of them did good business. And he thought, well, maybe it's me. But his scripts were quite successful in other people's films, so he kept writing. He also wrote books under a pen name. He wrote newspaper columns. He did all kinds of writing. And from 1957 to 1962, he did a lot of films. And he got a reputation for being an excellent script writer and also a very good script doctor if you were having problems. So in 1962, Raymond Chow, who would later leave Shaw Brothers to start their main competitor Golden Harvest, suggested to Run Run Shaw that they should get Chang Cheh to come and work at Shaw Brothers because he's really good. Run Run agreed. They asked Chang Cheh to come in. They offered him a job. He said yes. So from 1962 to 1964 he churned out a load of scripts for them. But there were 2 films quite close together that didn't do very well. Now, I have names in the magazine article I wrote which don't appear on any of the stuff on the internet, so I think they were translations from the Chinese name to English instead of the official English title. I'm still not sure which 2 films they are. I'm trying to figure it out. Anyway, these 2 films didn't do very well, and Run Run, I guess, called Chang into his office and said, "Oi Chang, what's going on? Your films are doing badly." Chang Cheh said, "It's not me. They're good scripts. They're badly directed." To which Run Run probably replied, "What, you think you can do better?" Chang Cheh said, "Well, I directed before, I can do it again. Let me direct something." I think really he always wanted to be a director. It was always there in him and he wanted to have another go. So Run Run gave him a chance to direct a script that he'd written himself. Chang Cheh wrote the script and he directed Butterfly Chalice. Now, in his biography, Chang Cheh doesn't mention this, but in my magazine article that I wrote before his biography, I had some information that Chang tried to direct his way. He wasn't keen on the Huang Mei operas, even though Run Run liked the Huang Mei operas because they were making money. But Chang Cheh wanted to do more realistic films with proper fighting. Instead of the swordplay, he wanted some hand-to-hand and different weapons. And Run Run wasn't down with that. He said, "No, I like Huang Mei. It's good. They're making money." But Chang Cheh directed it his way, and Run Run was not happy at all. And he called Chang into his office, and he burnt the negative in front of Chang. Now, they were about halfway through the film at this point. As to whether he burnt the complete half or just that days or whatever, I don't know. Now, some people have questioned me about this. Where did you get that information from? I can't remember. It was 18 years ago. I've lost stuff on my computer numerous times and I can't find that now. And I wish I could, because it was obviously a very interesting article. But there was a documentary about Run Run Shaw after he died, which backs up my statement. They said in that documentary that if he wasn't happy, he would burn the film and he would ask you to go and shoot it again. So I guess it wasn't just Chang Cheh this happened to. It wasn't really a big deal, but he was sent back to the film with a more experienced director, Yun Chiu Feng, who had done a number of films for Shaws in the past. And in his biography, Chang says that Yuan's name was put on the film to calm company unease that this new guy was directing. But really it was for him to keep an eye on Chang and make sure he was towing the line and doing what Run Run wants. Butterfly Chalice was released in March 1965 after production on Tiger Boy was probably already finished. But I guess Run Run had seen enough in Butterfly Chalice that he knew Chang Cheh had some promise. But Chang Cheh wasn't very happy with it. He said it was an average film and my personal style had not been given full rein. So after this experience, Chang Cheh went to Run Run and he said, "Look, I know I'm right. Let me prove it to you." And Run Run was not hugely keen on the idea, but he let Chang go and do an experiment. Instead of letting him shoot in the studio on colour film, he said, go outside somewhere and here's some black and white film stock. Go and just shoot a test. Now, as to how much of this test was shot, we don't know. But it seems it was enough to make a complete film in the end, because Tiger Boy did get released, as proven by a Malaysian flyer that someone sold on a well-known auction site a few years ago, which is the only artwork we've ever seen. There is a poster on the internet and a DVD cover, but those are both fan-made. No one's ever actually seen. Well, at the time people would have seen, but in recent years, no one has come forward with an actual poster for this film, or any lobby cards, or any kind of publicity materials whatsoever, except for this one Malaysian flyer. So we know it was released, supposedly in Malaysia and Singapore before a Hong Kong release, and it's said that it did quite good business. So, let's look at what we actually know about this film. I now have a pretty good collection of Southern Screen magazines. For those of you who don't know, Southern Screen was published by Shaw Brothers every month for many years, and it was a good way of advertising the new films they had coming out. There was always a woman on the cover, almost always, for many years. In later years they'd have a woman and a man. I can't remember one where they just had a man on the cover, strange as that might be. They usually had a poster on the back. Sometimes it was sadly advertising, but often posters on the back. Every issue that I've ever seen has colour photos of some of the big stars of the day. Some have more than others. Sometimes you get 2-page fold-out photo, which is really nice when that happens. And this magazine, issue 84, February 1965, is the first mention of the film Tiger Boy. Now, the magazine is usually about 2 months behind. If you're reading in February, they might have some event that happened, some promotional activity, and it's usually about 2 months before the date on the front, from experience. So this was published in February, and whatever they're writing about probably happened in late 64, November, December 64. And here is the first that we know about Tiger Boy. As you can see here, a new face in a new film. So what does it tell us? Wang Yu, a strapping, nimble-footed young man recently recruited by Shaw Brothers, will soon be seen on the screen in a new action-packed picture called Tiger Boy. The story of this knight-errant centers around his revenge against an outlaw who killed the hero's father some 15 years earlier. Incidentally, the son of the bandit is also involved in the story because he murders a peasant youth. He murders the brother of Tu Chuan, and she wants to take revenge for her brother's death. As fate would have it, the hero and the girl later fall in love and are united in wedlock after eliminating the bandits. Margaret Tu Chuan plays a peasant girl. Chang Cheh is the director of this costume film. And then underneath the pictures it says, as Tiger Boy, Wang Yu enters bandits' lair during search. Disguising herself as a male, Margaret Tu Chuan enters a bandit stronghold. They have a castle. Wang Yu is challenged by the bandit's son Lo Lai to a duel. Wang Yu tells Margaret Tu Chuan his life story after rescuing her from bandits. Margaret Tu Chuan hates the bandits for killing her beloved brother. He fights against the pursuing bandits in the mountains. So that's the first that we know of Tiger Boy. February 1965, meaning it was probably filmed in December 1964. I have to admit, I am missing one magazine from 1965. I don't have September 65, so I might have missed something. But I have the other 11 issues from 1965, so that's the first mention. In April 1965, issue 86, There are 4 pages related to Tiger Boy. The first 2 are about Margaret Tuchun learning to ride a horse, which everyone at Shaw Brothers had to do for the films. And then we have 2 more pages about Tiger Boy. And here we can see, instead of swordplay, we have a shield, we have people using hands, and it's a new style. It's different to the Huang Mei operas. And this is titled Death in the Arena. Shaw's newly completed film on knighthood and chivalry features one of the best screen duels ever. Now, as to whether Run actually believed that, or as to whether they're just hyping the film as they often did, I don't know. The film is Tiger Boy, starring torrid Margaret Tuchun and swashbuckling new actor Wang Yu. Facing his antagonist in the small arena formed by a platform, heroic Wang Yu knows that one slip means impalement on the sharp knives planted below. No one had ever done that before. He uses his prowess with his sword and sheer muscle power to evade the blows of his opponent, Bandit Lo Lai. Who eventually wins this deadly duel to the death? For the answer, you must see this unusual adventure romance directed by Chang Cheh. And again we have some writing underneath the pictures, so it's quite hard to read in this case because it's white on a grey background. Wang Yu falls near the edge of the platform, inches away from bloody death. Lo Lai makes a determined effort to throw Tiger Boy from elevated arena. With might and main, the 2 opponents engage each other in battle. With might and main. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. Bandit Lo Lai blocks a blow from Wang Yu. So, there is sword and shield. There is still some swordplay, but there's also some hand-to-hand combat. This is a step between what was and what soon would be. Tiger Boy and heroine Margaret Tuchun thank Chen Shen for saving them. Right, so that's that one. Then in the July issue, issue 89, there's an article on Jimmy featuring in the new film Temple of the Red Lotus. So Tiger Boy was in the can by about February, and then in May, June, he's shooting his next film. So it's clear that Run liked what he saw, but maybe he didn't think it was particularly good. But he saw some promise in Wang Yu. Now this does describe Tiger Boy as completed. So this is April 65, meaning that Tiger Boy was complete about 2 months before. So he started shooting in late 64. By early 65 they finished shooting the film. Now it took another year for the film to be released in 1966. People say it was shelved, but that term usually means that the studio doesn't like the film, or it's incomplete, or they don't know what to do with it. Now it might be that Tiger Boy was incomplete and they needed additional footage. I don't know, that happens sometimes. But I have a theory as to why it took a year to come out, and I will explain that to you soon. But let's look at the next magazine first. So, issue 92, October 1965, there's an article about the new direction that Shaw Brothers is going to take. It says here, Shaw launches action era. And I quote, "Always in the forefront where new film ideas are concerned, Shaw's will make a significant contribution to the advancement of the Chinese film industry when it launches its campaign of action films, with traditional Chinese chivalry as its theme. These pictures should rival in popularity both Hollywood westerns and Japanese samurai movies, which Shaw Brothers distributed a lot of and they were quite popular. The production of knight-errant adventure films is not new to the Chinese motion picture industry, though the Shaw venture may be termed a progressive movement in that it breaks with the conventional stagey shooting methods and introduces new techniques to attain a higher level of realism, particularly in the fighting sequences. Shaws are also using the opportunity to present some promising newcomers to filmdom. These include directors Chang Cheh and Xu Jiangheng, and 3 rugged rugged actors Wang Yu, Lo Lai, and Cheng Lei. Some of the films, such as Temple of the Red Lotus, The Twin Swords, and Tiger Boy, have already been completed and are awaiting release. Seems an action era is in the making. Now, as you may be aware, Jimmy Wang Yu is also in Temple of the Red Lotus and Twin Swords. So, we're trying to launch this new era of action films, and you got a black and white film with some unknown actor who nobody knows. Black and white was already out of style. Colour film had been around for some time, and most films were shot in colour by then. So, whatever else you may think of Run Run, he was a very smart businessman, very canny, and he knew that Tiger Boy was a hard sell. And he knew that if he could release something else first, which was in the new style, and which had Jimmy Wang Yu in it, and if Wang Yu was popular and the film was successful, he'd stand to make a lot more money out of Tiger Boy. So it was not shelved exactly, it was purposely delayed for business purposes. And if we go a few pages further in this magazine, we find more about Tiger Boy. So it says here, a suspenseful adventure romance complete with tender love scenes and realistic rough and tumble fights. The story tells of the brave efforts of a gallant young knight known as Tiger Boy, who is on a vengeance trail. He is torn between love for a childhood sweetheart, played by Chin Ping, and an older woman whom he meets in the course of his adventures. Based on classic Chinese adventure tales, the movie features a breathtaking duel scene. Starring in this tense film are Margaret Tu Chuan, Chin Ping, Wang Yu, Lo Lai, Chang Cheh directs. And again we have some captions underneath the pictures. Swordswoman Chin Ping is in love with Tiger Boy. He loves another. Should be Tu Chuan. Margaret Tu Chuan stumbles into Qin Castle. Tiger Boy rescues Chang Zhao Qing from kidnappers and wins her affection. Margaret's brother Cheng Lei fights the gang in defense of his sister. Tiger Boy attacks freely with his broadsword and defeats Qin Peng. Cornered by Qin Peng, Tiger Boy nearly falls down onto knives planted below him. Tiger Boy Wang Yu is wounded in bout with Qin Peng, Lo Lai, in one of the best duels ever filmed. So they're still touting it as the best duel ever filmed. Jimmy Wang Yu against Lo Lai. Next. So, issue 93 of Southern Screen magazine. November 1965. There's an article on a new film with Jimmy Wang Yu, The Sword and the Loot. And this time we have a big colour photo of Jimmy with a sword to his neck. I think this is possibly the first colour photo of Jimmy in action, his first promotional shot. So that's a treasure. Now, although there has never been seen that I'm aware of, at least in recent years, an official poster for Tiger Boy, there's a nice black and white photo of Jimmy in full costume, and the fan who made a poster, which you'll see around the internet, colorized this picture for his poster. So, before Tiger Boy was released, Jimmy had 2 more films. Now, I might have missed something in the Southern Screens. I'm not going to go back and look right now. So, Temple of the Red Lotus was released on the 1st of October 1965. Twin Swords was released on the 22nd of December 1965. And then Tiger Boy came in February 1966. So though it was the first film that Jimmy made, it was his 3rd film to be released. The idea being, as I previously stated, the other 2 films would make Jimmy popular, and then shows would make money on Tiger Boy. Rather than just letting it go, they had this film, they might as well release it. Now, it was first released in Malaysia and Singapore apparently, and it did pretty good business. And then Jimmy was the golden boy at Shaw Brothers for some time after that. Now, we should talk about those 2 films, Temple of the Red Lotus and Twin Swords. Chang Cheh was involved in both of those films, but he wasn't allowed to direct them. It seems that Run Run was still not completely sure about Chang's idea, but he said, alright, we'll do some other films in colour with Jimmy, but we'll get a director who I trust. So both of these films, Temple and Twin, they were both directed by Choi Chang-wang, who had been a cinematographer since 1954. He joined Shaw Brothers in 1964, and he was cinematographer on Warlord and the Actress, and he'd also worked with Chang Cheh on Butterfly Chalice previously. He really wanted to be a director, not just a cinematographer, and after this film he would direct 6 more films for Shaw's that he did the cinematography on as well. And when Jimmy made a break from Shaw's to get more money working for other people, he went to Golden Harvest, and then he went to Taiwan to make films, and Choi went with him and worked on his film Invincible Sword at Golden Harvest and a number of other films in Taiwan, some of which Jimmy were in. So they stayed good friends. We can guess that Run Run really wanted someone who he trusted more than Chang Cheh, and this guy had also been cinematographer on Tiger Boy, so he also knew Chang and the way he wanted to work. So he also knew Jimmy and Lo, because he'd worked on Tiger Boy with them, and Jimmy and Lo Lai were also in these films. Chang Cheh is credited for planning on both of these films, but I'm sure he had more involvement than that. I think he was probably more of a co-director, but at times they had saying, no, we can't do that. Also, both of these films were scripted by Shen Chang, who'd been directing for 8 years, but these were the first 2 films he scripted, and he was assistant director on both of these films. So even though he was a director, he became a scriptwriter, which seems a bit strange as Chang Cheh was such a good scriptwriter. I'm not quite sure how that worked out. But after these 2 films, he would go on to write 9 more and direct 7 of them himself at Shaw Brothers before also leaving for Taiwan. Choi and Shen both did the same jobs on the Jimmy film Sword and the Loot as well, so they were partially responsible for the new style. They're both reliable men with good track records, and it's like Run Run was trying to make sure Chang was kept under control. But after the success of these films, he realized that Chang Cheh knew what he was on about, and he pretty much gave him free rein. So, if we look at issue 94 of Southern Screen, December 1965, there's a 2-page article about Jimmy Wang Yu, Shaw's new star, and stated that Temple of the Red Lotus was his first film, and now it's been such a hit, Tiger Boy is coming. Twin Swords was released in December 65. So when this magazine came out, Temple had already been released, Twin Swords was coming out right about now, and then Tiger Boy was coming soon. So we can see from the evidence, it all makes sense. That brings us to 1966. And in 1966, every January, Shaw Brothers would do a review of the year. And it's a really thick issue with lots of good stuff in it. Lots of nice colour pictures. Like a calendar for the coming year and all kinds of good stuff. And here we have another page about Tiger Boy, which was coming out the following month. The bold and brawny young man in the title role is Wang Yu, the modern Adonis whose name has become a household word among young female filmgoers. Tiger Boy is a thriller complete with exciting swordplay and tender romance. It is based on Chinese folktales extolling the selfless deeds of swashbuckling knights. Directed by Chang Cheh, who also wrote the screenplay, the all-action film depicts the adventures of a gallant knight adept at fighting, but at a loss when confronted with love problems. Tiger Boy Wang Yu rejects Chin Ping's advances. He loves another. He leaves the village with Margaret Tu Chun. Tiger Boy fights fiercely against Tang Ti, whom he eventually kills. Cheng Lei plays Margaret's heroic brother. He's murdered. And then, as they do most Januaries, they have a fold-out section with colour pictures from some of the films of that year. And here we have, apart from the Malaysian flyer, this is the only other artwork, or close to artwork, that I've ever seen for the film. Now, I don't have the February issue, unfortunately. I have, again, 11 months from 1966, but I'm missing February, which is the month that Tiger Boy was released. So it's possible that there's something else in there that I haven't seen. But after that, that's pretty much it for Tiger Boy. It came and it went, and then it disappeared. As to what happened to that afterwards, I'm assuming Shaw Brothers still have it somewhere. There's a lot of stuff still left in the Shaw Brothers studio that was not removed by Celestial Pictures. There was some controversy over that, and they said it's nothing important. We have the negatives, we have release prints, all of those are just extra copies of stuff and we don't need it. As to how true that is, I don't know. It's perfectly possible that it's sat in a film can inside Shaw Brothers and it's been mislabeled. This happens sometimes. There's a Thai film called Santiwina, which was a very important Thai film as it was the first film shot in colour, and that film was missing until a few years ago when it suddenly turned up in Rank Film Labs in England. They'd had it all along, but it had been mislabeled. And someone was doing some research and they found this Thai film and they asked the film archive in Thailand, do you know what this is? And they had to go and look at it and they're like, wow, that's Santiwina, give it to us. So these things do happen. And it's perfectly possible that Tiger Boy is just mislabeled, sitting in some film lab, sitting in an archive somewhere. It's also possible it's been destroyed. I did hear some rumours many years ago, 20 years ago, people were talking about the Shaw Brothers fire. I don't know what that's all about. I've never managed to find any solid information on it. But these things do happen. We know that it's happened. Some of the big Hollywood studios, their nitrate film went up. As to whether Tiger Boy was shot on nitrate or not, I don't know. That's something that Chang Cheh would probably know. It's something that Run Run Shaw would have probably known. It's something that Jimmy Wang Yu might know. So it's possible that the film was nitrate and it's just burnt, it's disintegrated. Who knows? If it was shot on nitrate, it's possible that they would have transferred it to non-nitrate film for the release prints, but it's also possible, since it was black and white and a small cheapy experiment, that they did it on nitrate because it's cheaper. I have no idea. Anyway, there's nothing more to say. I hope we get to see it someday. Wait and see. For now, goodbye everyone. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please watch my other videos. Have a nice day. Bye for now.